What's going on, guys? My name is Jordan and welcome to Cities Skylines. Yep, something new because I need to do something on Sundays and I had no idea what to record, so I thought, why not do Cities Skylines? Now, as you can see, I have a few mods enabled. I've not got hard mode or unlimited money on hard mode because I don't know what it actually does and I'm not an experienced player, and unlimited money is off because we are going to try and progress through this in a somewhat normal fashion, but all the progression milestones will be unlocked from the start just because having incinerators from the get-go is going to be much easier than having to deal with the horrible stuff and then work our way up to the good stuff. Network extensions, I'm not 100% certain what that is, but the map that we're going to be using requires it, so yep, we'll have that. Toggle traffic lights because the traffic lights get put in ridiculous places when we go with left-hand traffic. I'll get onto that in a minute. 81 tiles because I want to be able to go anywhere on this map. Traffic plus V2 because being able to control traffic is very good in this game. Precision engineering makes it a bit easier to choose which way roads are going, get right angles and stuff like that. Move it allows us to move stuff just a little bit, so when stuff looks a little bit off, we can move it so it looks nice. We are starting with $500,000 cash instead of the 25 grand or 250 grand. I can't remember what it is, what it starts with. Just because I want to be able to get some of the better stuff to begin with. Nothing too much though. Enable achievements because I like achievements and the stuff that I'm adding isn't really game breaking. Building UK themes because we're going to be doing a UK map. British rail stuff because I like trains and I want British trains, none of those shitty American ones. And Find It, which is just a search bar. So, we've gone through the mods, let's start our new game. Anywhere UK, so this is a generic UK map. We're going to have left-hand traffic on, which means that all traffic will be on the correct side of the road. And we're going to call it Sundiville, because this is a Sunday video, and it always will be. Nope. I want the new theme? No? Okay. We're starting without the theme. Fine. I thought it came with the theme, but oh well. We'll have to see what this looks like. I'll get back to you when it has loaded. Okay, so we are in. And we get this, so we just see that we have everything unlocked. So we're just going to pause that and have a little look at the map we've got. We have a lot of farmland. Got a sea over there, a river. Can we see much else from here? I think I want to go over this way because I can see there are roads over there. Ah, I can move with the mouse a little bit. Cool. It's been a long time since I've played City Skylines, so I'm not going to get these controls on lockdown just yet, but hopefully we'll get it figured out as we go. So I'm going to enter a time lapse because it's going to take a while to make something that looks good, I think, and then we'll talk about it in a minute. So I'll see you then, guys. Honestly, looking back on this now, it probably would have been easier for us to have started on a different tile of the map, probably bought them all and then built somewhere else, because this starting tile wasn't really that great for a town or a city or even a little village. Like, as you see, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to have a one-way system so that people come on and off the road and then not have much traffic, hopefully. And honestly, looking back at it now, I think we've done pretty well for traffic so far. The city does... oh, this is more of a little town, maybe a village. Not too sure, because the size is obviously going to be quite small. But looking back at it now, the traffic has been quite good so far. I know it's only going to be... I think it comes to about 4,000 residents by the time I finish this episode. But the actual outcome was not too bad. So as you know, I'm putting down all the services I can, just so I've got an idea of where everything is. I've got the incinerator as far out as possible to try and keep the noise and pollution away from the city as much as possible. I call it a city, it's not a city, it's a town, maybe a village, I'm not 100% certain. And I'm trying to have all these, or at least most of these farming towers as farming industry. However, I do come on to add a bit of industry in the area that we've just built, as well, because people were complaining on Chirper. Um, I don't know if it matters or not whether they're complaining about there being only one type of industry or whatever, but I don't want it to just be a farming area, because this is meant to be a sort of UK area. I'm going to probably change this bridge up a minute later on, because it isn't very nice, and I do apologise if I sound very nasally. I've got a bit of a cold at the minute, but yeah, I want to try and keep this as much as into the theme of the UK as possible. The UK actually does have a lot of farmland, just most of it is out of the way of the cities where most people are familiar with when they think of the UK. Places like London, maybe Birmingham, Glasgow, places like that. They tend not to be as farm oriented as, say, the Midlands and Northern England, which is where I come from. I come from the Midlands. Where I live, there's a lot of farms. I can go about 5 minutes in any direction by car, and you will have farmland. There's actually farmland just up over the road from me, I think, like behind where I live. So yeah, we're not far from farmland wherever you are in the UK, as long as you're not in a city. And as you see here, I see that the wind turbine, or the water-based wind turbine that I placed down, wasn't really supplying the sewage area with any power, so really struggling to get the power around here. But it seems to be working at the minute. We don't really have the means to produce enough power with those 2 wind turbines. We will add more as the video goes on. And as you see, what I'm doing here is a very weird layout for a road. And the UK is very typical for this. You'll look at roads and think these make absolutely no sense. If you ever visit the UK or you live in the UK, I just need to say Oxford, and if you've ever been there, you know what the road systems are like. It's very confusing, there's no real structure to them, and it's just a horrible place to live, really, if you're a driver. I don't drive myself, as I think I've mentioned in a few previous videos, but I'd hate to drive around there, and even when it comes to just like walking around and stuff, it can get very confusing. And I tried to portray that here. I want it to be a very British sort of town and city and village and whatever else I decide to put around here, because I'm assuming it's going to be 2 or 3 at least different areas. But I want to make it so it's vibrant and it's nice, but I don't know how I'm going to do that yet now. But I'm trying to really in keep with where I live at the minute, which is that stuff, it's connected and everything's close and local, but at the same time it can be awkward to get around. So as you can see with the bus services, yes, there are bus services almost everywhere, but they're not really on your doorstep unless you're living literally right outside. And that's sort of what it is like where I live. There are bus services pretty much everywhere you need to go. However, they are they're not on every corner of the street, and they don't really run that often. For example, the one that I take to work in the morning runs every hour, so that's it's a bit awkward. And the only other one that goes to the same sort of area runs 15 minutes after it, so you've got 2 chances in an hour. And that's sort of what I want to keep with the whole layout of the whole map. I want to try and make it so that you can get around, but it might be a little bit awkward if you're not on time. And I'm now building another area for the people to live in, because the demand for housing was ridiculous. I wasn't expecting it to build up this quickly. So we need to get the housing down there. We need people to be able to get in and out. So I thought we'll put another road in there. Very British way of doing it. We'll just build another road. We're not going to plan out our city. We're just going to build it as we need, which is very much how where I live is. And I think I talked about that in the live bit. I can't remember now. I honestly can't remember what I spoke about in that. So I really do want to try and keep it so it doesn't look like where I live, but it looks similar in terms of how the design is laid out and how the planning seems to be, in the sense that there seems to be very little planning. So I'm going to leave you with the music, and I will get back to you in the live episode. The live part of this episode. So I'll see you then. Okay, welcome back guys to the live part of this video. So, I think that's just been, but that's why it's got no water. So, this is where we leave off today. It's not as pretty as I was hoping, I will admit that. I mean, this area started looking half decent. I had to expand out here because I didn't want the incinerator to be causing so much noise and pollution and stuff that everyone was unhappy. That's why these people are all around here and they stopped here. I think that's sort of where the noise ends. Yeah, that guy on the corner gets a little bit of noise. And all of the government buildings and schools and stuff, I don't think they mind about that. That's why industry can take it as well, so I think anyway, I'm not 100% certain on that. Which is why I've put all of those in this area here. Now you'll notice that it's not very organised like you'd expect in a city's map where everything is square, sort of like this. Everything looks like this, but it's not as out of its way. I'm going to just turn the music down because it's a little bit loud. There we go. Yeah, so everything would be in a square area like this, sort of grid pattern. But we don't really have that in the UK. It's more of this sort of thing where you get a bit that looks quite organised, a bit that looks quite organised, and then it's sort of not organised as well at the same time. So for example, where I live, you have an area that looks somewhat like this, for example, and it'll go down, and then it will just go over here, and there'd be another area that looks like that. But then in between there'd be an area that looks sort of like this for no reason. And it's not very organised at all. You get a lot of roads that seem to have been put in after there was no planning ahead of the amount of people that actually lived there. For example, where I live, I think there used to be around about 20,000 people who lived here. And then in the early 1800s, when coal mining and stuff became quite big in the UK, the population rose to over 100,000 people, and the government just weren't, or the local government weren't really prepared for that, so they just built terrace houses, which, for people who don't know what terrace houses are, they are sort of 2 stories like this, all in a row, nothing really disconnecting them. I'll try and remember to put a picture on screen now, so you can see what a terraced house is, if I can find one that's not going to get me shouted at for using the image. But yeah, we have terraced houses, a lot of them, because, well, I think about half the population at the minute is housed in terraced houses, because that's sort of what happened here. We had a huge population growth, and in doing that they also had to put in a load of roads and stuff for the houses. So we have stuff that looks like this, where it looks somewhat organised, and then they just put a road across to fit more stuff there. So it's sort of like this with a lot of the UK though. Big cities, sort of like London, it is disjointed, but at the same time it's still very organised, because it's a big city, they sort of planned ahead a little bit. Whereas the smaller cities and towns that are quite large, they sort of mess up a lot, but still make some sense. So that's sort of what I'm going to try to go for the rest of this. And you'll also have noticed that I bought this tile and this tile because I needed to... Well, I didn't want to have the water being, or the sewage being sorted out anywhere near the city. That's why I also put this here. And we are using a lot of power. I had to put an extra 2 in just before I came back to doing the live mode because we were using so much power. But we have quite a lot of farm industry now, which is great. We're going to have a lot of farm industry, and a lot of people were getting annoyed about the farm industry in here. Come on, Mayor, doesn't the city board come up with anything more modern than farming? What's next, horses and wagons? Yes, horses and wagons are most definitely next. So, next episode we're going to probably do another little offshoot of a town, because our demand is getting high and I have nowhere to really put them apart from along here, which I didn't really want to do to begin with, but our finances were getting a bit out of control. As you may have saw, there was a pop-up saying that we needed to accept a bailout, or else we're going to go bankrupt. I had to drop the budget for a lot of stuff. I don't mind putting education at 50% at night, because night schools aren't really a thing in the UK. Buses tend not to run a lot in the UK, or at least where I live. They tend not to run very often to begin with, so I don't mind 80% during the day and 70% at night. Realistically, at night though, well, between like 10 PM and 6 AM there's no buses running at all, at least where I live. In London I think it's a bit different, but that's only because it's a huge city. Electricity, again, at night, electricity and water at night, you're going to be using less, so, or you should be using less anyway. But we don't have a loan to pay off, so I'm fine with that. And this is including the fact that, as you probably saw at the start, it started me with more money than I actually wanted it to start me with. But I'm not going to complain about that, because we have our city. I'm a bit annoyed about the pollution here. I think you can put down trees to fix that, right? Trees sort of help with the pollution. Oh. Let's put some trees down anyway. It's not like it's going to hurt having them here anyway. At the worst, it's just going to make ugly looking trees. At best, we're going to get some of the pollution under control. But that is it for this episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do leave a like, leave a comment, and leave any suggestions for what I should do in the upcoming episode. Because I don't really have a plan for this series. I just want to make a cool looking city. Hopefully one that doesn't have too much traffic issues. Right now the traffic doesn't look to be too bad. I think these are all just parked on the side of the street, so that's not too bad. But I know that when we start to do some of the bigger stuff, it's going to get ridiculous. So, until next time, guys, this is Jaws95. I'm signing out. I'll see you next time. Does that shrink the amount of noise? I think it does, a slight amount. So, until next time, Jaws95. Signing out. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye now.